I'm going to take you through a real situation that I recently had with a video editor, and it really didn't go too well. And the only reason I'm making this video is because for those that are thinking about hiring a video editor or delegating some video work out to somebody else other than yourself for the first time, there's a lot of things that you can learn from this video. Or if you're on the other side of the table and you are a new aspiring video editor and you want to start getting more client work, well, you're going to hear from me as the client in this scenario. I'm going to take you through an exact situation that I went through and kind of just show you the whole process of how it went, because there are some red flags for finding the right person and things to watch out for, things to go towards and things to stay away from when you are looking to work with somebody on a video project, regardless of whether you're the client or you're the video editor. So let me start by saying I've been doing this weekly video content thing. I love organic content. I've been posting on YouTube a ton. In fact, my channel goes way beyond I've been doing it since high school, and I'm in my young 30s now as a family man and solopreneur. And so on my YouTube channel, there are definitely different phases of my life on there. And I think it's really cool looking back in time that way. But I've been a solopreneur in the marketing space since 2019. And so in the past several years, I've been really getting back onto the YouTube scene and trying to just put my name out there, build a brand, build some audience, and help it kind of drive business towards the things that I do to pay my bills and feed my family, right? And what I needed eventually was somebody to help me get these videos done in a way that actually look good, because I know how to edit a video decently. I can do it, but I don't aspire to be like a professional video editor. And I'm more in the solopreneur space of building business, running business, and just loving creating content in general, not necessarily editing. So with all of that context, really, I needed to at some point figure out, okay, I don't have time, nor do I have the interest to become a professional in the editing world. But for my videos to reach the masses and to have a positive impact on people and for them to find me and for us to connect because of it, the videos have to be good. I mean, it's not just the title, thumbnail, it's the hook, it's the intro, it's the story that you weave in the video that you make. There's so many elements. And if you've ever tried to create video content in the past, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so Evan had to find some editors. And it's been a fun journey, and I've worked with a handful of editors now at this point. And I'm going to keep this video kind of raw and uncut. Usually I hand it off to an editor and they polish it up for me, but I wanted to make this just a little bit more kind of just raw and authentic. So let's just jump into the story of this bad experience, I guess we could say. And as a caveat on the front end, I do want to say that I'm not knocking this person at all. Super cool person from what I could tell. But I think nonetheless, there are a handful of lessons that we can learn from this. So let me pull up the email exchange or the thread that I had with this guy. And so let's make sure I have it pulled up. This is my first time kind of running it like a live stream or something here. But yeah, so you can see here, this is essentially the email thread of me in this editor and the test project that we went through. So before we go into this, actually, let me back up for a quick second and tell you the inception story. So obviously I needed to find some editors because I started building out this brand, which is actually up and running now. And I absolutely love it. It's awesome. It's called Content Juice. And if you've watched any of my other YouTube videos of, at least in the recent months, then you've probably heard me talk about this already, but it's a content repurposing subscription that you sign up for. You submit your video to me and the Content Juice team, and then we break it into all sorts of micro content, from short form video to image carousels to even text-based posts. So really, no matter what social media platforms you're on, you don't have to worry about getting caught up in the hamster wheel of always trying to figure out what to post next. Focus on making great videos, and then we do the rest for you. And you know you're always going to have great content that can go out. So anyway, essentially what it is, it's like the business is essentially a video editing service, but we do more than just that. And so in the process of building this out, I needed to start working with some more editors and start finding the right people to work with. And so I went through a round of interviewing, and I guess we could go in as deep as we want to on this video. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit longer and unfiltered, something new that I'm bringing to the channel I've never done before. But I mean, it really all starts, if you're thinking about bringing on an editor, it starts with, your first question is, okay, where do I find them? How do I go about conducting the interviews? How can I afford them? How do I quality check to make sure that they're legit? Like, there's just so many nuanced questions that go into just the process of saying, oh yeah, I'd like to hire an editor, whether a contractor base or an employee base, whatever. So I used a platform called onlinejobs.ph. And yeah, you can go to Fiverr, you can go to Upwork, you can go, there's so many places online now, which is awesome. But I wanted to, one of my first sticking points really, I mean, to go all the way back to the beginning, is when you're starting a new business, unless you have a bunch of just extra cash sitting around when you got started, you have to be lean and mean and kind of scrappy with how you use the limited funds that you have to get the business up and running, right? And so even before I started Content Juice and just needed help with getting more videos out onto YouTube that were actually good quality, I was like, all right, I don't have a ton of money, and to get a good editor can be really expensive. And I live here in the States, I'm in Florida, and I was just like, there's no way that I can hire, even on like a project by project basis, I can't pay the rate of what a good US based editor would charge. And, so I kind of kicked the can down the road for a while. And finally I was like, all right, how am I going to figure this out? And just doing some YouTube researching, like what you may be doing right now, I come to find out okay, I need to just go overseas and find somebody overseas. So long story short, I ended up trying out a website called onlinejobs.ph, and it's Philippines basically. So you're able to look at a pool of talent over in the Philippines, and it's great because from a culture perspective, from what I understand and now in my experience working with some Filipinos, really good, hardworking people, at least the people that I've worked with from over there, very polite. They understand English really, really well. In fact, my virtual assistant, who's been with me for several years now, she's no longer in the Philippines, but that's where she lived when I met her and interviewed her. And I ended up asking her, I was like, so where are you from? Because I felt like I was just talking to somebody else in the US. And she's like, no, I'm here. I'm from the Philippines. So it's just kind of interesting, like that barrier, if you've never worked with somebody remotely across country borders, right? Especially different cultures, and in this case, on the complete opposite side of the world, it can be a little intimidating, and you think that it's just going to be really, really hard to find great people. But I can assure you that's not the case. But there's a lot of steps that go into it. It is quite a process. So long story short, I started interviewing a handful of editors because at the time I was just looking for somebody to delegate all my video work to. And there's this person that I kind of checked out their portfolio, and I'm not going to go into the details of what my listing was that I posted to get these people to kind of bite on the job listing and see who was interested in potentially working with me. I'll save that for a separate video. So if that's something you're interested in, I still have all of that stuff and I can share exactly what my process was. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments. So yeah, but as we move on, it was interesting because I basically stacked probably about 10 interviews back to back to back. So I just kind of had an interview day or a section of one of my days. And this was a little while ago, 6 months ago. And I was in the groove. I was doing these interviews and everything was all fine and well. And then I log on and you're in the Zoom meeting and the other person pops up. And, it's a little awkward for a quick second, especially you've never met them and they live completely on the other side of the world and all of that. And so we get to talking and, the guy's really nice and his English isn't perfect, but that doesn't really matter. Can we communicate? Are we on the same page? Or, can we work together on something that's bigger than just ourselves individually? And it started to just get really even more awkward than that, because I was asking some pretty basic questions. At least I felt that they were basic. And it was just stage fright, just completely, just staring into the screen going, and I was trying to like not, I wanted to encourage him and make him feel okay. You know, like, hey, you don't need to, it's just me. Like, I just have questions. That's all. Like, I'm not like trying to like drill you with the hardest questions ever or anything. So I was trying to like keep it chill and casual and kind of calm his nerves a little bit too. But at the same time, like, this is your first presentation. So a little side note, if you are, whether you're becoming an editor or not, like if you're out there as a freelancer, we'll just kind of look at it from that angle. Be ready to make a great first impression. And this is a life truth just in general. Like, be ready for that. And it's okay if you're nervous, but, and if you're feeling nervous and you're kind of stumbling over your words, like, that's okay. Just kind of recognize it and move on. Just move on, because the person on the other side of the table or the other person in this virtual Zoom meeting, they want you to succeed too. Like, they're hoping this works out. They're not trying to break you down necessarily. I mean, some people, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I think for the most part, like you're trying to look for a good match. So anyway, we just have a really awkward conversation, and it wasn't that long. And I ended up telling him, I was just like, you know, because I was asking him things like, okay, so what makes in your eyes, what makes a great video versus just a mediocre video? Like, what are the elements that really make something rise and, you know, stand out among the rest? And again, just like, sorry, I'm nervous and that kind of thing. And I'm just like, oh, buddy, I feel for you. Like, I know what nervous feels like, but I don't think this is going to work out, you know? And, you know, I didn't want to crush anybody's soul here. But, you know, it lasted like 10 minutes. And then finally just told him, I was like, you know what? I'm going to send you over some information on just like some things that can help you kind of build your skills, and some people that maybe you could follow online. And maybe that can help you just kind of level up in your career, because I think you have a lot of potential here, but I just don't think it's a good fit right now. But if there's other projects that come along the radar for me, I'll let you know about that, and would love to give you the opportunity if it makes sense to do so. So was I too gracious? I don't know. Was I not gracious enough? Should I give him a shot? Well, I guess it depends who you are, but that's how it went. So let's go back to this Gmail conversation, and you can kind of see how this went and start pulling out some of the highlight moments, some of the lessons that you can learn, whether, again, you are wanting to get more client work and do more video work because you are an editor, or if you're looking to delegate out video work for the first time. There's a lot of things that you don't think about until you're actually in the trenches, which is the best way to learn. And, you know, I want to be as transparent and just kind of open the books and show you everything. So that's what we're going to do here. So, all right, making sure I've got the right things on the screen. You can see the conversation. So basically he hit me up, yo, Evan, you said last time, can you see my cursor? Sweet. In our interview that you had some stuff for me to basically get better with. And that was at the end of mid-November. And it wasn't until the end of December. And I'm recording this end of February 2024. So yeah, just a few months ago, really, not too long ago. And so I basically hit him back up and I was like, hey, sorry to ghost you like that. It's been a wild ride. And I was building content juice and finding other editors that I could work with. And it's been great so far. I did find some really solid people that are not US based that I can afford. And it's just been an awesome ride because it's a win-win. The value of $1 goes very far for them. And I don't have to pay what I would have to pay somebody stateside in order to get the helping hands that I need in this area of video editing. So anywho, I just kind of said, I'm not exactly sure what I was referring to when we were talking about this on the call, but here's some resources. And, you know, I'm a student too. Like, I think we all should be that way. I think a lot of us kind of approach life and our career and our interests that way. You know, you're never the smartest person in the world, especially now that we're all connected by the internet. There's always somebody that's bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, more experienced than you. So rather than letting that like mess with your head and your ego and make you feel down about yourself. Be like, this is awesome. I'm glad other people are better than me. And I'm especially glad that those people are sharing what they've learned with the world. And so, yeah, anyway, I tossed in some links. So if you can see here, April Lynn Alter, I just found her a few months ago, and she's got a great channel all about YouTube editing techniques and story arcs and all sorts of stuff. Rock solid. Think Media, they're kind of, I don't know if they're the OG, but they've been around a while. I mean, you type in YouTube video how to or any of those types of keywords, and Think Media is going to be popping up. Sean Cannell and the rest of the guys, they got good stuff. And so I wanted to shoot him those links and be like, hey, like if you want to work with guys like me, which I think you can, study what these people are saying about editing techniques and how to craft a good story and arranging your clips, all the stuff. And then a few other things. And so you can see here the thumbnails. I asked him to. I said, are you still looking for work? Like, here's the links. I may have a project for you, because I was starting to do some like free test projects for some people, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But yeah, so there's some good stuff here. And I think both of these, you can see here, let me scroll up so you can see it. These guys, this is both from, I think, Jay Klaus from his Creator Science video podcast / YouTube channel. He does great stuff, and he's got some really cool conversations with some really smart people, especially in the creator arena, and even more specifically in the YouTube arena. So I shot all that stuff back over to him, told him I was sorry for ghosting him, and he came back pretty quick. And that was one thing here, a little side note. I'm going to just be dropping these little tidbits of lessons here. Be prompt in your communication. If you are the one looking to get paid, if you are the one that wants more work, when people email you, email back quickly. It's not going to come across desperate. It's going to come across like you're ambitious, like you're on top of things. And that speaks volumes to people, guys like me, who need other people's help, because we can't do it all, or we don't have the skills to do it all. Or we just don't want to. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but you want to be prompt. And I mean, if we look here, he was absolutely prompt. I emailed him on December 27th at like within a half hour, basically a half hour later. He was like, hey man, yeah, I'm still looking for work. Tell me the details of the project. And then it hits me back a little bit later the next day and says, I watched the video. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do that type of edit, basically. And even here, like typos, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, this is not some sort of like big job where everybody's uptight and you have to be grammatically perfect with everything. Like, it doesn't really matter too much to me. But was something that I was thinking of bringing you into as these emails were hitting my inbox. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can give you details to the project, like what he was asking right here. But like, what about all the stuff that I just pulled? And I pulled all these links and dropped them in and formatted my email to be easy to read and easy for you to save and use. And then you send me one line just saying, okay, what's the details of the project? Not that he did anything wrong here, but again, back to like impressions. And I already don't have the world's best first impression, because like I told you, the interview was cringy. And yeah, and so then it was weird getting hit back again before I had even responded, and him saying, yeah, maybe I can do that. Okay, like, well, you just don't sound very confident, bro. Like, what's going on? Like, do you want to give this a shot or not? Like, I'm being very gracious, I feel like. But again, you know, we're just taking this one little baby step at a time. But those were some of my internal thoughts. I'm like, okay, let's just kind of like, okay, noted. Whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, I'm just like, noted, but let's just continue and see what happens. And so, yeah, getting into the next thing, I basically told him the details of the project. So those links I sent you the other day are full of great information on, you know, making good videos. I'd like to potentially assign you a few test projects one at a time and look at how detailed I am. Now, maybe some people are like, whoa, you're an over-communicator, Evan. And yeah, I'll admit that. But I would rather over-communicate a point and have the point really like clearly be understood by the other person so we can move forward and work together on the thing, rather than leaving room for misinterpretation or misunderstanding of what I'm looking for or what I expect or whatever. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just trying to communicate very clearly here, even within the formatting of like line breaks and everything. But yeah, so I gave him a link to a long form video because this was a Content Juice test project. So again, we take Content Juice, we take your long form video, so 7 minutes or more. Typically, well, we don't really take anything past a half hour right now. We just don't have the bandwidth for it. And it just becomes really, it takes a long time. Anyway, you submit your long form video. We extract all the best stuff out of it. We send you basically back a Google Drive folder that has all of the other micro content that was repurposed off of the video you submitted. So I gave him some very, very detailed instructions. I said, please follow all of these directions with complete detail or we won't be able to work together. I'm just being frank. It's not me being rude. It's not me being whatever. It's just like, here's the bold line that really needs to be said. And again, I'm not knocking this guy because good dude. And I've seen mistakes like this happen with other people all the time. So it's not a him thing. It's just a thing, right? So follow it, follow these steps in complete detail or we can't work together. And then I even said, I don't say that to be threatening because I don't want him to be like, oh gosh, because he was so nervous before. It's like, but instead, because I want working from the opposite side of the world requires insane level of details, promptness, and clear communication of progress and expectations. And I want him to know that that's what I expect. And then as we work together, you will see that I hold myself to that same exact standard as well. So again, I'm not sending one-line little emails unless that's just the best way to do it. But clearly it was time to like really map out something. This is going to be a long video. Wow. All right. Sorry, I guess. Hopefully you're enjoying this so far. If you are, hit the like button and go ahead and hit subscribe. I think it's like 96% or 98%. It's like an embarrassingly high number of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. I just found that in my analytics the other day, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should ask people to subscribe more. So if you're enjoying it, if you're kicked back and enjoying this so far, or if you liked any of the other videos you watched, yeah, anyway, subscribe. So I told him, step one, watch a few of my clients' videos. I gave him the YouTube link, and we'll talk about that client in a second. I want to give him a fair shout out too. So that you understand his brand, the style, the tone of voice, so on and so forth. That's really important as an editor. You need to do a little bit of recon, a little bit of research. And honestly, from my perspective, as somebody who'd be delegating this work out to an editor, I shouldn't have to tell you that you need to understand the client's brand before you go into editing. Even if it's like, oh, I want TikTok style stuff. Sure, that's fine. Whatever. But if you don't know like what fonts I'm typically using, what colors I'm using, what type of vibe the brand is it more like wacky and forward and loud and using lots of GIFs and memes and like slapstick humor type stuff, or if it's more like chill, somber, like, you know, whatever. I mean, a brand is a brand, like, and we have to make sure that we represent the brand appropriately in the videos that we create. So step one, make sure you're understanding the brand. That's really what I'm saying. Step two, I want you to pull out at least 4 sections to be turned into fully edited short form videos. And I told him, don't add the captions, the sounds, the B-roll, or anything yet. Just give me the rough cut and show me, because I want to see, like, do you have the skill set of taking a longer video, and in this case, I think it was like a 9 to 10 minute video, and then finding like, okay, this would be a great highlight moment that we could turn into a short form vertical video for Reels, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, all of that kind of stuff. Because if you can't, I don't want to be the one, I don't want to have to be the one to tell you like, okay, because the first editors that I've worked with, like in the very beginning of doing any of this stuff, I even worked with a couple people that I had is like, that are friends, still friends of mine. And obviously, like I said, it just gets too expensive. But I found myself having to go through these videos for them and like like bookmarking what timestamps that I wanted them to pull out. And I'm like, there is no way that I can build a business and still spend all this time like going through. I need the video pro. I need somebody that knows how to do this. And it requires a lot. It requires a lot of skill set and understanding like what pulls in an audience, what are the main questions that are being answered within this video, and let's make sure we pull out those sections. There's a lot that goes into it. So I wanted to see how he would do with that, and then told him to just send me the rough cut shorts, and they all need to be less than 60 seconds, because if it is at 60 seconds, in my experience, I have found that it does end up chopping off the end, and so usually 59 seconds is the cap. And a little side note, I've even noticed, and I think the trend changes from time to time, but how people have been using short form content lately, as far as like when they're scrolling and like taking in content, sometimes the short ones, the short shorts are even better. So something like 12 to 20 seconds can do really well too, but it just depends on the video itself. And so then I told him, I said, all right, and then once you do that, I'm going to assess the rough cuts. I want him to know exactly what he's getting into. I'm going to be looking for a great hook in the first 2 to 3 seconds that grabs viewers' attention. Because if you can't grab somebody's attention, you can't hold somebody's attention. It starts by hooking them. All right. And then, let's see where we're at. And then just a good flow where each sentence makes logical sense with the one that's being said before and after it. Like, does it flow, or does it look like choppy and like just like it was like duct taped together? Because we don't want that, especially when we're doing this on behalf of another client of mine, right? And then each short needs to have a main point or takeaway. It could be something inspiring, educational, thought-provoking, or something else. But there has to be some sort of gist of the short video. And that can be a unique challenge, because the time constraint of being less than 60 seconds, like that's a real thing, right? But again, it doesn't have to be funny, but it can be. It doesn't have to be like mind-blowing, thought-provoking, but it can be. It doesn't have to teach somebody something, but that's another great way to do it. If you can teach somebody something in less than 60 seconds, that has the potential to be a great short-form piece of video. So then I told him, if that goes well, I'll give you the instructions for completing this first project. How's it sound? How soon can you complete this step? I could have just given him a straight-up due date and say I need it in 24 hours, but again, you can cross that bridge when you get to it the way that makes the most sense for what you're trying to do. I already had a couple other editors I was working with as well at this time, so I wasn't like desperate for him to like complete these things immediately. I kind of wanted to pass the ball over to his side of the court and see how he handled it. So then just told him, I may have a lot more work for you if this goes well, but let's just start out with this. Looking forward to seeing what you got, so on and so forth. And so here's another thing. So December 29th, and obviously holidays and New Year's kind of makes it a little an interesting time. December 29th at the end of the day, and then January 1st. So a few days later, yo, Evan, yow, yow, Evan, here's the rough cut for the video you requested. Hope this helps. So now what I want to do, give me a moment, is I want to go through those videos, and I'm not going to show you the full length one that he extracted these clips from, but actually I think he only pulled out, well, I guess I'd have to go back and look at the Google Drive folder. I told him to pull out 4 sections. We're only working with 2, okay? So totally fine by me. It still proves the point and brings you the value in this video, because this is where we can start really getting into some of the technical side of what's making a good edit versus a bad edit. And I'm just going to spill the beans on how I instruct my team to do things, and just the stuff that I've been learning, again, as a forever student of this game. I do not title myself as an editor. I'm more of a content professional from a marketing perspective and a business owner. And I've been doing this also for a while. So anywho, let's jump over here, and we are going to give a quick shout out to, let's see, how do I do this? Boom. All right. So this is my boy, Javon. Shout out Javon. I will try to remember to put his YouTube channel down in the description of this. Really cool dude. I actually just kind of hit him up. It was kind of like a cold DM, cold email. I was like, dude, I really like your stuff. I like what you represent, your values. I'm starting this new thing called Content Juice. I think you'd be a great fit for this. I would love to tell you more about it. And instead of trying to hard sell you on it, I'd like to just like use one of your videos of your choice, and let's just do a test juicing project is what we kind of call it. So in long story short, he really, really loved it. And he actually has a testimonial, a video testimonial up on contentjuice.org, the brand's website. And so I'm very thankful and appreciative to you, Javon, and hopefully you're okay with us digging into this. These shorts I actually did not end up delivering to Javon because, again, I had other editors that I trusted and knew could do a good job. They did some stuff. This just never really saw the light of day. And I thought, I'm going to save this on my desktop because we'll make a YouTube video out of it. So that's what we're doing. All right. So this was the first short. Again, I told him to pick out the best spots from Javon's video. All right. So this was the first one he gave me. I'll try not to say too much. Let's just watch through it, and then we'll start dissecting here in a bit.
If I plan to build a successful YouTube channel, getting 80 views on a video will not help me accomplish my goals as a creator. And it's not going to help you accomplish your goals either. So although the goal is to build the brand in the self-development niche, my brand, these videos aren't working. They weren't getting any clicks or they weren't getting any views. So I knew one thing, I had to pivot. I had to test out different types of content to see what could gain traction. Now, I could spend the next year just making self-development content, and maybe a few of those videos would grab traction and I would start to get views and impressions and subscribers. But as a new channel, I knew immediately, I was like, okay, I've uploaded like 2 or 3 videos. Something is not working. Something needs to change.
All right. So that was the first one. Let's bring you back over this way. And it's fine. It's fine. There's a handful of things that aren't great in it, and we'll actually pull back up the Gmail thread and show you kind of the revisions that I gave for him, because I knew it was going to be a little bit of show me what you got, let me help you a bit, and then let's see if you can apply what the revision requests that I have for you. So let's pop over to, I got too many windows on my computer here, man. Okay, here's the next one.
Analyze your analytics. You can't ignore your analytics or you won't know the direction of your channel. Seriously, you wouldn't get into your car and start driving from San Francisco to New York without mapping out your routes. So why would you?
How many weird things have you noticed so far? Because we're almost counting on to the second hand already. Anyway.
Do that with your YouTube channel. After reviewing my analytics on the recent video, I leaned into what the data was telling me. And guess what I did? I made another video focused on valuable and actionable advice for small content creators called 3 YouTube Strategies for Beginners. And within the first 48 hours, the video barely received any views or engagement. But I knew that's what the data was telling me. The data was saying to make that type of video. And I did. So why wasn't I getting the traction or the views like the previous video? Did the data lie to me? I was reading the data. I thought that's what it was telling me. I think that's what YouTube was telling me. It was like, make more of that type of content. I did. So why wasn't it performing? But I knew that I had to adapt and use my knowledge of optimizing my content.
Well, okay. It ends. It ends right there. So let me just... I really don't want to sound like a jerk. Would you ever send this and say, here's the final product? Or like, here's what I'm proud of. I think this is worth you paying me for. I don't know. There's a few different thoughts that I have. I'm trying to decide which way to go with it all. But yeah, so I saw those and I'm like, all right. Let me give some critiques and let's see how it goes from there. So popping back over to the Gmail situation, he sends me that stuff. And of course, I'm like, I wasn't able to open it. So help me out. And so he got it fixed up. And I was like, okay, I was able to review the rough cuts. And also understand too, I very clearly, very, very clearly in this email mentioned, just do the rough cuts. Don't add captions, sounds, B-roll, or anything yet. Don't spend your time doing that. I want to see if you can even extract out a good spot and make sure that it's not choppy and clunky. And what he sent was stuff that had B-roll, captions, typos, background music, sound effects. So probably in an attempt to overachieve and impress the future employer, aka me. And I appreciate the sentiment, but that's not what I asked you to do. So another lesson here, follow the instructions very clearly. And if you want to overachieve, of course, this is coming from an over communicator in general, but like if I was in this person's shoes, if I was the editor and I wanted to like really do it, I would do the rough cut and send them exactly what they wanted, but then I would also go above and beyond and have these final versions so that they could kind of see how I would have done it if you didn't give me any additional instruction, which gives a lot of clarity to the person who's paying you and giving you this project to work on in the first place of like, okay, this is their level of ambition and this is how they would approach it if you didn't give them a whole lot of instruction, but then also still doing exactly what they said. So that's something else to think about and consider on both sides of the table. Again, if you're trying to get more editing work or you're looking to delegate editing work, that's just kind of my thoughts. So let's see. All right. I was able to review the rough cuts. Overall, it's pretty good, but here's some constructive feedback. And again, I try not to just, if you're going to give some critical feedback that may ruffle feathers or may hurt feelings. And again, this is business, so it's not about feelings, but I think regardless, like being a good person and being an advocate for bringing out the best of the people around you, that supersedes all things in life. Always. Always. And that's why it makes it so easy to spot the bad apples, the people that are like, well, business is business. And so, like that's just not the way that I want to live. That's just not the way to do it, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of people that agree with me on that too. So anyway, if you do need to be kind of critical with some things, it's about doing it in a very clear manner that is not that you just want to be as objective as possible. And there's something called the sandwich method or Oreo method. I don't know. I don't even remember where I heard it. But when you're giving feedback to somebody, a little piece of advice is open up with something that's complimentary. Insert the objective feedback, the critical part that may potentially ruffle their feathers, or if they get in their feelings about it, that's where it would probably happen. But you need to be able to lead and instruct and correct. That's part of it. And then end with some encouragement. So you're basically sandwiching. So good, bad, good. I guess you could put it that way. So I told him, kind of going back through some of the main things that I had mentioned up here with I'm assessing the rough cuts and checking for the following: great hook, flow, and a main point takeaway. So come into here, make sure you can see this. Each short should focus on only one main point. And for the most part, he did that somewhat. But then 2, eliminate any fluff where possible. If a sentence isn't needed to add to the main point, chop it out. Get it out of there. Especially when we are doing short form edits. It has to be done that way. It has to. There's no room for fluff. If it doesn't add to the story, if it doesn't make the short better and more appealing and more meat on the bone for the person watching it, whether it's educational or purely entertainment, whatever. It's like, don't add filler lines to a joke if it's not building up the joke to be better. That's like comedy 101 too. 101 also. So that was the other thing. And these were like overall type stuff. And then the videos can't exceed 59 seconds or the platforms will cut them off. And oftentimes they don't need to be as long as possible. Some of my best shorts, and like I mentioned earlier, I was telling him, were less than 30 seconds, believe it or not. in most of the rough cuts, it ends. Oh, and then I said, in most of the rough cuts, it ends somewhere in the middle of the sentence. We can't have that. Don't chop it off. Don't chop it off. If there's a sentence being said, make sure there's room for that whole sentence to be said. If you need to take out little spots of the sentence because it's not necessary and you wedge it together and it still feels smooth to the end user, to the person watching it on their phone or whatever device, fine. But if I'm talking like, and that was the end of it, you'd be like, what the heck, dude? That was clunky. So anyway, I said, okay, yeah, so let's have you go ahead and do the full edit on numbers 1 and 4. So he did send me, I'm remembering now, he sent me 4 rough cuts, and I think he had done some edit on it already, and I told him to just go with number 1 and number 4 because at this point I knew like I don't have the time to give you detailed critiques on 4 different shorts. Let's just pick the 2 best ones and work with that because I don't know. At this point, I didn't know if it was really going to work out. I was pretty much like 80% sure it wasn't going to work, at least for now. But again, learning process, and we're making content out of it, baby. So this is a valuable experience. Again, everything is content. Everything is content. It doesn't mean it's good content, but everything has the potential to be good content. So hopefully this is good content for you. And if you're enjoying this so far and all of my long-windedness, I appreciate you, number 1, for helping me with that view duration. My YouTube channel could really use that. So that is strategic by me a little bit here. I want to do something a little longer and unfiltered so that we can hang out a little bit longer. So I appreciate you. Hit the like button if you're liking it so far. Let's keep on going. Okay. So I said, I want to see what your final product will be. Again, if you're able to fully execute on these instructions, make them really good. I've got a lot more for you. My goal is to have a shorts editor. Again, reiterating the vision so he knows what I'm trying to drive towards so he can try to accomplish that. You know, the worst thing is when you have a boss or a leader that isn't telling you where you're trying to go, like where the whole organization, what the vision of the whole thing is. Because without that, you don't know whether you're doing a good job or not because you're only going off of those little quick bits of feedback on little micro projects when there's something much bigger at play here. So I let him know my goal is to have a shorts editor that knows the job of storytelling, editing, and holding viewers' attention without needing to be micromanaged. Again, communicating as clear as I possibly can. Once we get the first few projects to a really good final spot, we can discuss what's next, and then I'll pay you for these. So let me know, yada, yada, appreciate. And then I said, thank you for the quick responses because I was appreciative of that. He was turning these bad boys around pretty quick for me. And I was like, okay, he does quick work and, you know, communication level is, but it's workable if the quality of the edit is also good. So it's kind of where I was at. Again, the sandwich method, a little bit like I was telling you about with giving feedback. Then he sent the 2 videos, gave me his PayPal. And then this is where we get into, look at all this right here. Now, take a moment and come up with a guess and leave it in the comments as to how long you think it took me to open up the short in like the QuickTime player on my computer, find the little spot, grab the timestamp, leave my comment of how I wanted him to fix the thing, and then go to the next thing, find the timestamp, go through it, just to write all this out, plus the fact of like watching it multiple times to assess like, okay, what are the critiques? What are the things that have to be changed, ought to be changed, or could be changed, but don't really need to, and me trying to decide whether it was worth me giving him the feedback on it or not. Leave your guess in the comments below because it took me a while. I think, it probably took me like, I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour to do this. Again, I'll do this a couple times, most with my editors, but like you're not going to, if you're an editor and you're trying to get more client work, if somebody has to give you this much feedback, and a lot of people, they won't know how to give you this type of feedback. They won't know what a good short is versus a bad short. That's why they're hiring you. So if you don't, like that's part of it. It's not just like, oh, I can use Premiere Pro or I can use CapCut. I don't really care what you use as long as you do a good job and you understand the fundamentals of good video. And in this case, specifically short form video. Yeah. So a lot of people, I think that's another really good point to hammer home right here is a lot of people in my shoes that need help with video work, they're not going to give you this detailed of stuff because they don't know how to. And basically what they'll do is they might think everything you give them is great, but then when it doesn't perform because it actually sucks, and at the end of the day, the viewers on these platforms are the ones deciding whether it's good content or not, and they vote for it based off of the like button, and they vote for it based off of whether they scroll past it right away or not, right? And then the algorithm follows the user's behavior. It starts to add up. And if you're not providing something that's actually doing its job, serving its purpose, then you will get canned really quick because nobody wants to pay somebody to do a bad job at anything. So anywho, I was thinking, all right, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Let me give him just really painfully specific critiques, and let's see what he does. So I'm not really set up very well right now in this video to bounce back and forth between the video, like short number 1, and then my edits or my revision requests here. So let's just read through them, and then we'll go back through and look at it. Okay. So I was like, remove the ding. It's too loud and doesn't add to the edit. You can just the ding, and you'll see that's at the 2-second mark. And yeah, sound effects are great. Like it works really, really well. But if you're just adding stuff in where it doesn't make sense just so that you did the typical editor thing in that space, because that's the trend now, like if it doesn't serve a purpose, don't do it, period, in life, especially in editing. And then I was like, it's too loud. It hurt my ears. I wasn't ready for it, bro. And then literally 1 second later, there's a flicker of a frame when transitioning from the talking head shot of Javon talking over to the text that came up on screen. I was like, clean it up. It's really short, but that flicker is like, it's noticeable. Like if I don't know, that's a bad example, but like it's stupid. It doesn't need to be there. And we all know this, pro or amateur, beginner to advanced, pay attention to the details. Get rid of that. It sucked. All right. And then from 4 seconds to 13 seconds, remove the captions since there's already text on the screen. And this is more of a personal preference thing, but from my perspective, and if you end up hiring Content Juice, myself in the Content Juice team, to repurpose your long form videos into short form videos, carousels, text posts, whatever, this is one thing that we won't do unless you specifically are asking for it. For what reason? I don't know why. But if there's text on the screen already from the original edit that you're repurposing, don't let the auto captions run underneath it where it's literally saying the same thing. You've got the same thing going across the screen twice. What are we doing? So from 4 to 13 seconds, that is a painfully long time to have duplicate text. It's just dumb. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Fight me, I guess, if you think that if there's a reason for it that I'm not understanding. Again, I'm a forever student. I'm willing to swallow my pride and be told as to the best reason as to why you should have auto captions plus the other text that's already saying the same thing, but I don't see a purpose for that. And then at 14 seconds, remove the whoosh sound effects when punching in. It's not on brand with his vibe. Again, back to branding, I made a big point of that earlier in the video, and it's just one of those things. If it's not on brand, don't do it. And if you want to try it, that's fine, but maybe when you send the edit to the person paying you, so in this case, when this editor sent this back over to me, say, hey, at this point or at these spots, I did this. I'm experimenting a little bit. Let me know what you think. I can pull it out. Or we can lean into it. See, again, way different as far as the delivery. Because to me, then it just makes it look like, because I was not given that context on this note specifically, I'm like, all right, well, he's just clear. I wonder how much research into Javon's brand that he actually did, which I don't mean that you have to spend a lot of time. You just have to spend a short amount of intentional time to lock in what the brand is so that you can be consistent with what we're doing so that it matches what the client has already been doing. Okay. 17 seconds in, remove the words "my brand" from the video. I don't remember that specifically. But I was definitely, like I said, I spent like an hour making this email. So whatever that was. 21 seconds, the transition from the motion graphics scene to the talking head is not smooth. Again, there's a glitch of something else in there. Please clean it up. And then at timestamp 31 and 33, remove the sound effects when punching in. Again, probably just wasn't on brand, didn't make sense. And then 34, there's a typo in the caption. It should say grab, not grabbed. So with that, let's watch this one again and see how it went. Boom. Here we go. Actually, I on my screen, you can't see it, but on my screen, I can still see my Gmail remarks. So let's see. The first one was at 2 seconds, remove the ding.
If I plan to build a successful...
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, why would you ding when you punch in? Hello.
Plan to build a successful YouTube channel.
And if you know Javon, or if you could, please go subscribe to him. He's an awesome dude with great content. If you know Javon and his brand, that's just so not it. All right. Okay. And then I said at 3 seconds, there's a flicker in the transition from 3 seconds. Let's see.
Successful YouTube channel. Getting 80...
See that? Like, I like the snapshot sound effect, but if I scrub in here, and these details matter. These details matter. Look. So this was, because I'm not an editor, I don't know like the technical way that you would describe this, but basically he had the zoomed in, punched in shot of just Javon's face. And then as it's transitioning, he's got this like little flame overlay, and you hear the as it's flipping over to the next section, you get a flicker of just the 16 by 9, the standard just rectangle framing of his shot. And again, it's a microsecond, but it's not professional.
Getting 80.
Like, it's enough to be distracting.
Getting 80.
And this is not what you send to a client when they're paying you good money to do this. All right.
Getting 80 views on a...
Okay, and so this is the section where I'm like, okay, the text is already on the screen. We do not need the auto caption. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Video will not help me accomplish my goals as a creator, and it's not going to help you accomplish your goals either. So although the goal is to build the brand in the self-development niche, my brand, these videos aren't working. They weren't getting any clicks, or they weren't getting any views. So I knew one thing. I had to pivot. Right. I had to test out.
I zoned out. Yeah, so we got all that. I'm going to move a little bit faster because I've made my point on this. So you can see, and then there was a typo at 34 seconds. Where are we at? Grab traction. It should say grab. And those videos would grab traction, not grabbed traction. Yep. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go into the revised version after I gave him these critiques, and then we'll do this for short number 2. I'm going to try to move this a little bit faster. Just, I hope you're not bored. Okay. Let's go to version 2, which is that. Let's make that one go away. Version 2, bam, boom. Here we are. All right, so let's see if he cleaned it up. Let's pay attention to this one. So did he remove the ding at 2 seconds?
If I plan to build a successful...
He did. Good job, man. Now let's see if the transition from this shot to the next one, if that flickering weird framing thing happened.
YouTube channel, getting 80 views.
Okay, looked better. Looked better, right? There we go. So again, was this a skill issue? No. Was this a paying attention to detail issue? Absolutely. Absolutely. And as an editor, you have to pay attention to a lot of details. And that's why I think editors should be paid as well as they are paid. Because there's a lot that goes into it, and you just don't know if you haven't done it yourself or worked right alongside an editor that's showing you all the steps in the process. So shout out to all the editors out there. Props to you, especially if you're paying attention to detail. You kind of have to succeed. All right, so then did he remove the captions when the other text was on the screen?
Getting 80 views on a video
Doesn't this look better?
will not help me accomplish my goals as a creator. And it's not going
Okay, and then here coming up at 14 seconds, remove the whoosh sound effects when punching in. It's not on brand.
to help you accomplish your goals either. So although the goal is to build the
Good, yep, just punch in. It's all good. And then at 17, remove the words my brand from the video. Let's see.
brand in the self-development niche, these videos
See, okay. So I gave you instructions and you did the instructions, but did you do a good job with the execution of it? Watch it again.
in the self-development niche, these videos
What just happened?
these videos
You know what it makes me think? And I'm speculating here, but if I'm not mistaken, because I saw a couple other edits from him and that were in his portfolio and it had the little CapCut outro thing that popped up, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just doing this all from his phone. And hey, again, you're being resourceful. Like, use what you got. Like, if you live in the Philippines and you don't have a computer, but you like love video and you're aspiring to get good editing projects in, and like, you know, you're willing to lower your price because your skill set's not there yet, like, all the power to you, man. Like, I want to see you win. I want to see you win. But it almost, like, this almost is a giveaway that it was done on a phone or some sort of device where, like, when you try with your thumb to like slide the trimming section, you can never really get it pin perfect the way that you could with a keyboard and mouse. But that's just speculation. But it like chops off the sentence, so it just sounds crappy.
niche, these videos
Okay, so that's not acceptable. All right, so then at 21 transition, 21 seconds. The transition from motion graphics scene to talking head smooth is not smooth. There's a glitch.
aren't working. They weren't getting any clicks or they weren't getting any views. So I knew one thing.
Okay.
I had to pay any views. So I knew
There's a weird audio thing between the two sentences. This is where you have to tackle these just case by case, all right? Because there's different ways that you can like smooth this out. And again, not trying to act like a pro editor, but I've done enough of it to know that there are ways to clean these things up.
they weren't getting any views. So I knew
Here, like, weren't any getting views, so it just sounds, it's choppy. It's not good. Not good. So it looks like he fixed the critique that I had for him at 21 seconds with a glitch, but it was just replaced with a new thing. I'm like, why did you send that to me? It's not done. Okay, and then at 31 seconds and 33 seconds, remove the sound effects.
making self-development content,
Okay.
and maybe a few of those videos would grab traction and I would start to get views and impressions and subscribers. But
Okay. So that was number one. That was the first of two. And remember, initially I told him to extract 4 pieces, and we decided to just work forward on 2. And thank goodness, because it would have been a 2-hour long email, the critiques. And I don't have the time. And honestly, I don't really have the patience for it. And again, not knocking anybody specifically, not knocking this editor, but like, this is the welcome to reality. Like, nobody's got time for that, bro. All right. So now let's move into short number 2. There's a lot more. I left a lot more critiques on this, and we'll just keep this thing humming along. We're at the hour mark. Thank you for sticking around. If you have, appreciate you. All right. So let's watch the original number 2, the OG. All right. QT number 2 should be this one.
analyze your analytics. You can't ignore your analytics or you won't know the direction of your channel. Seriously, you wouldn't get into your car and start.
Okay, you know what? Actually, let's do it this way. This will be better for us. Let's go to Gmail. Hey, you know what? Shoot. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. What if I move? Whoops. What if I move Javon's face over here for a sec? And then we can kind of see all of this. Yeah, let's just do this. This will be better for us. Are we all in favor? All right, cool, man. I feel like a live streamer. I feel like I've got it going on now. I'm so technologically savvy, man. All right, here we go. So critiques here. Here, I'll read through them. There we go. All right, so the music is too intense from 1 to 3 seconds. You can see right here. And I had even kind of given the same critique that I had on the front one. Changed caption font to something similar to what he uses in the video. Again, not on brand. And so you can see it here, like it's just not the same thing. And then also remove caption text when there's already the same text on the screen. I've already hashed that point way too much. Here. Just come over here for a second, Javon. Hang out on my side. All right. So the music is too intense and the volume changes abruptly. Please fix. Here, that works. Sorry. You guys are annoyed with me at this point. Please fix and put the captions in the center of the screen to fill the empty space there. All right, so let's see what that looked like. Listen to the music.
Analyze your analytics.
See, double text on the screen. What are we doing? Pull it over. I'm going to make myself smaller. There you go. You've seen enough of me at this point. Good, this is better. All right, now we're ready.
You can't ignore your analytics.
What just happened with the music, right?
Analyze your analytics. You can't ignore your analytics or you won't know the direction of your channel.
And also notice, I don't think that I said this in here, but if you listen closely, and I've got some like in-ear monitors in right now. These are cheap on Amazon. They're like $17. Highly recommend. They are the, I don't know. Get yourself some nice audio listening devices. It's great. You can hear there's 2 songs playing at the same time. You hear this ding dong, and it's like this like chill music that comes in after the intense stuff, but they were layered on top of each other. What are we doing?
Analyze your analytics. You can't ignore your analytics or you won't know the direction of your channel.
So I don't know if that was just a mistake, but again, like another just bloody obvious situation that not paying attention to details.
Oh, seriously, you wouldn't get into your car and start driving from San Francisco to New York without mapping out your routes. So why would you do that with your YouTube channel? After reviewing my analytics,
and you can see it all over. I don't think we're going to go through all this because I'm making the point of just paying attention to detail. There's all sorts of stuff that I was mentioning. The overlay flickers dark and then looks like a mistake. Please fix the word. The word wouldn't needs to be together. Would, the word is on the first line, but the T is on the second. Yeah, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. If you guys have seen this stuff in the past. See, wouldn't, wouldn't, next line, doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be there. Typos, that happens at 16 seconds. Typos are gonna happen. But again, attention to detail. Transition from talking head to graphic needs to be cleaned up. Flickers, like mentioned in the other critiques. Yeah, so just the transitions are just not great. The click sound doesn't line up with the screenshot change. Please line those up so they can happen at the same time. Yeah, because audio and visual, like it's got to work. Like if you were watching this video and the audio was way behind or way ahead of what you're seeing my mouth moving, it would just throw you off to the point where you would hate all of this. It's just so distracting. So let's see what that one is at 18 seconds.
Leaned into what the data was telling me.
Hear that?
I
Clicks.
leaned into analytics on the recent
That one
video.
worked.
I leaned into what the data was telling me.
So there's 3. Click, 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 and the third one is late.
Analytics on the recent video. I leaned into what the data
Notice
was.
that? Click happened and then the screen changed. Details, details, details. All right. And then 21 through 30, I said the footage quality is way lesser than the rest of the video. So let's see.
Telling me. And guess what I did? I made another
Look at
video focused on valuable and actionable advice for small content creators called 3 YouTube Strategies.
And that's because he screen recorded, I think, and was using that in the editing technique here, which I thought this was cool. Like the principle of this was fine. But then again, look at what we're looking at right now. You're putting the same text on the screen twice, and even worse, they're in front of each other. So it's like, it looks weird. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, but yeah, that explains the low quality. But again, low quality is unacceptable when people are paying good money for these things.
Beginners. Right? And within the first 48 hours,
transition was weird
the video
there.
barely received any views or engagement. But I knew that's what the data was telling
weird
me.
transition.
The data was saying to make that type of video. And I did. So why wasn't I getting the traction or the views?
And then at the very end,
my knowledge of optimizing my
the sentence gets chopped off is what I told him.
My knowledge of optimizing my content.
Yeah, like, okay, so it's over? Yeah, so those were my critiques. And then I just told him, I said, overall, make sure all the elements, the assets, the sounds, the fonts, like all of the things that are on the editing timeline as you're building this, make sure that they're on brand with the creator's existing brand, which is black, red, white, simple text. It's modern, clean, professional, casual. Now I'm like laying it out. Watch his videos, explore his Instagram for direction and inspo when needed. The transitions need to be clean and smooth, and make sure that the final shorts are delivered in 1080 quality. If possible, please send over the revisions when you can. Let me know your estimated time to complete this. Here, let me get that out of the way. To complete this, I'll pay you at the link that you provided when the shorts are delivered. Let me know if you have any questions. At this point, I'm just like, I really hope that comes back with something good. So let's see, January 5th, and then 3 days go by. So I didn't hear from him for 3 days. And I'm like, I thought you were a quick responder. Like, what's going on? I hope everything's good. And I was about to hit him back up and be like, yo, are we good? You working on it? Like, and that's another thing too. Another note. This is information dense. This is a dense video for us. If something's going to take like a little while for you to work on it, and I go through this with people on my team currently, even some of the best people that I work with, it's still, I have to kind of remind them like, hey, we live on opposite sides of the world. So you work on your own time, at least for me, like that's fine. You don't need to be like on the clock every moment that I'm on the clock. I don't expect you to change your lifestyle and your life schedule to fit this job and like when I'm up in East Coast Florida time. But if I send something to you, the moment that you see the message come through, if you don't have something to deliver back like within 24 hours, just say like, understood, I'm on it. I'll have it back in 48 hours if that's okay. Let me know if you need it sooner. Something along those lines, just tapping back in and saying, received, understood, working on it, something like that, or asking a clarifying question or something. That helps us as the employer really just make sure that you're like doing what you need to be doing, and we will feel confident continuing to work with you because you're never leaving us guessing as to what you're doing or how long something will take. So again, some people may be more picky about this than others, but I'm a big communicator. I'm an advocate of that, and that's what makes the world go round. Like if we're not communicating clearly to each other, then how are we gonna make anything good, anything that we're both proud of? How's that gonna happen for us? So anyway, a couple days go by. Here's the 2 videos. Boom. I do my best to enhance the quality of the vid. Cool. He sends them over. And I will show you my last response, but let's just watch these second versions. We'll watch the second one just in general, which is not that one. Come on, Evan, you can do it. There we go. All right. So here is the second one, second version of short number 2.
Analyze your analytics. You can't ignore your analytics.
See, even that was weird.
You can't ignore your analytics.
This transition.
You can't ignore your analytics, or you won't know the direction of your channel. Seriously.
And he did change the font. So, I mean, it's kind of clean and bland, but Javon has a pretty, not bland, but Javon has like a very clean, simple branding vibe too. But also look at the quality of the footage. It's pretty low res, man. That's not 1080p.
You wouldn't get into your car and start driving from San Francisco to New York without mapping out your routes. So why would you do that with your YouTube channel? After reviewing my analytics on the recent videos, I leaned into what...
Look, did he take out the clicking, the like camera clicking sounds with these screenshots? I'm not really hearing them. Maybe he just removed them.
With your YouTube channel. After reviewing my analytics on the recent videos, I leaned into what the data was telling me. And guess what I did? I made another video focused on valuable and actionable advice for small content creators called 3 YouTube Strategies for Beginners. And within the first 48 hours, the video barely received any views or engagement. But I knew that's what the data was telling me. The data was saying to make that type of video. And I did. So why wasn't I getting the traction or the views like the previous video? Did the data lie to me? I was reading the data. I thought that's what it was telling me. I think that's what YouTube was telling me. It was like, make more of that type of content. I did. So why wasn't it performing? But I knew that I had to adapt and use my knowledge of optimizing my content. So
okay. And then it's over again too. Joy. So as you can see, still not there. And then I have to ask myself in this moment, oops, there we go. I have to ask myself in this moment, are we going to do another round of revisions? Am I about to leave more comments and do another 45-minute length email to try to get this thing perfect? Or do I cut my losses and learn the lesson? And as I mentioned earlier, I kind of had the thought, I was like, man, this could be a really good YouTube video of just breaking down the interaction between client and editor and what clients are looking for and what makes a good edit and all of that. So what I did is I said, got him. They're still not quite there yet, but let's just shake hands and call it a day. I just paid you. And then I sent him a screenshot that I paid him. So that's how that ended. And I said, take care, man. And then several hours go by and he goes, sounds good. Thanks. So do we have another project soon? Should we have another project soon? Should we? Do you think that there's another project that I'm going to give you? Did you watch the second version of the things that you gave me? Are we on the same page here? You know what? We're all at different stages in our journey, and some of us are super skilled at some things, and then some of us are just equally and oppositely not skilled in that same exact thing too. That's what makes the world go around, because we can lean into each other for each other's expertise. And when your passions and interests align with what you do for work, it's an incredible thing. And so, yeah, if you want to become an editor, hopefully there's some really good stuff in here that you were able to learn from, and kind of like, hopefully I'm not like a jerk of a boss. I think I'm pretty nice, actually. And let's see, I've worked with 6, 7, 8, something like that, editors, and working with several currently right now too. And you know, this is the game. This is how it goes. And that's why there are editing agencies out there that you can hire. And I learned a lot of this stuff hands-on. I built the experience myself by wrestling in the dirt with not knowing how to edit things, but wanting to do good on YouTube and to start finding my people, the people that really like the stuff that I talk about, that have similar values and beliefs to me, to where we can grow together, challenge each other, learn from each other, help each other win, and pick each other up when we're not feeling so saucy at times. And that's just what makes the world go round, makes this fun. And I love YouTube as a platform, and I love video as a content format. It builds such incredible trust. It really allows for people to get to know each other a lot quicker. It connects the world instantaneously. And it's just a beautiful thing. And a lot of people are missing out on the opportunity that video can provide them. And so if you are an editor or looking to pick up more editing work, like you're in the right game. And yeah, AI is coming through, and AI is going to make it a unique challenge. There are going to be, it's a disruption to the industry for sure, but it's disrupting a lot of industries. And I just see it more as an opportunity to be creative and to offer things that robots can never do. And one of those things is just human connection and genuine, just like lifting each other up and working together. And anyway, I can keep going on a spiel, but I hope you enjoyed this long video. I have a lot more that I'd like to do. I actually want to, I have it written down to start getting into some more raw, unfiltered conversations like this at varying lengths, but really letting you into the complete behind the scenes of content juice in my life as a dad, as a family man, solopreneur, working out of his home office, this extra bedroom in my house / content studio. And yeah, like life is what you make it. And you can make life pretty freaking amazing for yourself. But it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a heck of a lot more fun to do it when you're in the trenches with other people that can pick you up, support you, help you along the way. So I hope this video did that for you. And until next time, peace.